In the midst of worldwide shitstorms, pandemics, wars, increased living costs, and economic problems resulting in crazy amounts of inflation, the property market is still standing strong. In fact, the only place we're ever seeing property crash is in my thumbnails. So what's in store for the property market this month and the foreseeable future? Well, we're going to discuss that in this video to help you guys make informed decisions about your own investing journeys moving forward. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Aaron, aka The Anxious Investor, and today's video is going to run through the property market while subtly getting you to read the pinned post in the comments down below. So let's kick it off with a recent article from The Guardian, which shows that the average UK house prices have exceeded, yes they have, £260,000 for the first time. Now, a shortage of homes, as many of you know, on sale in the last few months have sent the prices again further up. In fact, they're actually gone up by a record 7th consecutive month, making many first-time buyers feel that now they'll never be able to afford a house the way things are going. And I'll be honest, guys, I can fully empathize with those people looking to get themselves on the property ladder. There seems to be no real light at the end of the tunnel at this particular moment. But the property cycle has not failed just yet. And if you are interested in learning about the 18-year property cycle, it may provide some useful knowledge about how the property market is actually cyclical. And before I get roasted in the comments and told that, well, this time is different, this time we got wars, we got pandemics, and just turmoil across the world, I'm hearing you, and I'm almost agreeing with you and thinking, yes, you could be 100% right. But in my eyes, a crash is still on the cards at some stage, until of course we see otherwise. Now, moving on, Nationwide has also reported a £30,000 rise in the past 12 months on properties, and this is £44,140 more since February 2020. Now, this is all scary stuff, and what makes this worse is that a typical home now sits at 6.7 times more than your average earnings. Now, sadly, this is up from a previous high of 5.8 times more in 2019. So it's not looking great. Now, the chances are that those of you looking to buy and get on the property ladder, you're either living at home, maybe with your families, or you're actually renting in this particular time. So let's jump into that for a moment. Specifically, we're going to start with London to begin with, where rents are now continuing to rise. According to an Evening Standard report, unless 83,000 extra rental homes hit the market, they're just going to keep going up. That's not a big ask at all, is it? But the reluctance of many landlords to continue buying houses at these prices, and some even leaving the market due to constantly being attacked with taxes, this doesn't look too promising in my personal opinion. Now, if we look across the UK, things aren't improving. Rents have now passed £1,000, and this is it's shambles. I mean, I've been doing these videos for about a year now, and I remember when I first reported on this, we were looking at around an average of £700 to £800 rent across the UK. And I know we ain't all getting £200 salary increases each month, which makes reading and reporting on this pretty tough. But unfortunately, that's where we are. Now, with rents rising and supply being short for new affordable homes and rental properties, what's the situation with house prices in terms of how much further can they rise? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're typing that in, I'm going to share an article that Simon over here reported, where he said that house prices are now 20% more expensive than in February 2020. And he makes a great point that I share. The only winners here are the banks and building societies, who get to sell large mortgages and make, well, more money off the back of you guys. Now, one problem here that I've mentioned many times on this channel as well is that a boom was never on anyone's radar. In fact, we was already kind of seeing the peak of prices before the pandemic actually hit. So a natural assumption would have been to see them correct, to dip, but as you all know, that didn't happen. And without regurgitating what I've been saying for ages now, this was down to a combination of people being locked in their homes, choosing now to want more space, the government printing more money on a daily basis, essentially repricing assets, and the obvious economic factors of supply and demand, all smashing the house prices into an area that makes purchasing homes so much more difficult for people to afford. Now, segueing ever so slightly, I think interest rates are important to speak about here. I think they have a massive impact on the housing market, and recently we've seen rises occur both here and in the USA, who of course has its own inflation problems. And despite predictions that the housing market there will rise by 10% this year across many articles, even though people recognize it's unsustainable, a slightly older article by Simon Shinerock I read sprung to mind, where he was asked in 2021 his predictions for 2022, and he stated something that I firmly agree with. The driver of house prices is related to interest rates. Now, he actually stated the following, and I'm just going to very quickly read this for you guys. As the world's economy starts up again and the pandemic recedes, hopefully permanently, although it will certainly cast a shadow for some time, I think we can all agree with that, we are seeing a lot of demand-led inflation. The important thing is to understand why this is happening and whether it will carry on or not. The reason this is important is because if we have runaway inflation, interest rates will rise further and faster, leading to an increased likelihood of a property price crash. But I don't even think he could have predicted what is now going on in the world, with obviously the tensions between Russia and Ukraine ongoing and just the general economic problems we're seeing across the world. It almost seems like one thing after another right now, and it's getting tiring. And with the ongoing war we are sadly seeing and future elections upcoming, it's not crazy to think that maybe the predicted further interest rate rises that both the UK and US were initially going to do, well, they may actually go back to the drawing board and reassess those, and they may not necessarily be as aggressive due to the current turmoil that we're seeing. Now, an interesting article to add to this that I was reading mentioned that the war in Ukraine may actually halt the prices of houses, as people's finances will be affected massively. And we've spoken about this many times, about the higher cost of living, inflation, energy prices smashing our disposable income to bits, with new hikes incoming and ongoing. But will this actually stop a housing market surge when people still want to buy houses? The demand is still there. So will we now start to see cheaper mortgages end as inflation increases and interest rates increase to try and combat inflation that seems to be running away by itself right now? Well, sadly, my friends, that's not something I actually know the answer to, but it's something that I want us all to be aware of. If you are investing in property, we need to have some knowledge and macro understanding of economics and how the world market can disrupt the property industry. This, in my opinion, is a necessity. Of course, it's far less volatile than things like stocks and crypto, as housing is far more an essential need and want than both of those. But my guess, at least for the short-term future, is a plateau in prices rather than a huge property crash. I will, however, be shocked if I see in the April and May reports I'll do on this channel if we see an 8th and 9th consecutive price rise. But at the same time, I found myself with my jaw left hanging many times in this market. So guys, what are your thoughts? How are you assessing and viewing the market? Are you active, or are you just waiting on the sidelines waiting for a crash, maybe similar to 2008? Let me know down below. And do me one big favor, please. No, it's not smashing that like button, as I know you good-hearted people have already done that for myself. It's actually patting yourselves on the back for being an awesome person, because when you guys could have been doing anything, and I mean literally anything, you chose to spend a few moments with me. And that, my friends, well, that makes you pretty awesome. So until next time, guys, thanks for watching. But I've